another great night for BDA News. As always, we are a group of high school students who work to inform others about the news of the week going on around the world. For most students, here in California at least, the past week was the first week back to school from winter break. Hopefully, you started off the year well. As always, this is Esther Park.
And I'm Andy Hong. Now we leave our humdrum everyday lives and delve into the headlines of the week. Woo! Yeah. As a recent New Jersey bridge scandal continues to develop, Governor Chris Christie continues his adamant defense of his innocence. The scandal, which is most interesting indeed, involves the mayor of Fort Lee who refused to endorse Governor Christie in some election. Some of the administration's top advisors who, allegedly, unbeknownst to Christie, which is hard to believe, ordered an economic retaliation by closing all but one of the lanes on the crucial George Washington Bridge connecting New Jersey to New York, which happens to be in Fort Lee. This closure is predicted to have caused at least one death, with one patient who was stuck in traffic in an ambulance. On Thursday, the governor desperately tried to save his career and possibly a ticket to the presidency by firing his top aide, offering profuse apologies and asserting his ignorance to this matter.
76 years after Frances Moulton assumed her duties as the first woman bank president, and soon after the long and memorable reign of Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve came to an end, Janet Yellen claimed a spot in the history books as the first female chairperson of the Fed. Not only is Yellen now the supreme ruler of the circulation of money throughout most of the world, she is also the first Democrat to run the Fed since the Carter administration of 1979. She announced her plan for a loose monetary policy and qualitative easing. Quantitative, yes.
Now moving to another key issue in the Middle East unfolding in Iraq. Last week, we brought you the news of radical Sunni militants threatening to take over the Anbar province, particularly in the key city of Fallujah and Ramadi, but we will focus on Fallujah this time, where although Iraqi forces fought valiantly to defend the city that they and their American allies fought so hard and so long to liberate in 2004, Fallujah fell to the insurgents 2 days ago. Will this new development require yet another American intervention, or was this crisis in fact caused by the American removal of Saddam Hussein in the first place back in the early 2000s? If you have any opinions, please leave some comments by the side. We aren't here to just sit down and talk about some random events of the week. We are here to start discussions and really get people to start thinking about the implications, the significance, and the impact of the news we bring for the week.
Woo!
Yeah.
Indeed. So please don't be shy to be the first one. We know that we've inspired you when we see active discussions and productive conversation. Now, back to the news. This time on former Chicago Bulls star defender Dennis Rodman. He further inflamed the international community by visiting North Korea and leading a sing-along of a chorus of Happy Birthday to Kim Jong-un, the dictator who recently executed his uncle and leads the third generation of oppressive Stalinism. In the midst of recent talks between Secretary of State John Kerry and South Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se on warning North Korea of its nuclear endeavors, Rodman's basketball diplomacy is the focus of heated debate over its efficacy.
In Cuba, former dictator and revolutionary Fidel Castro appeared to the public for the first time in 9 months to attend an opening of an art studio in Havana, the capital of Cuba. Seriously, I think this guy lives forever.
Yeah, I know.
Although his health is quickly deteriorating, he still manages to appear time to time in front of the expected masses in the isolated and island nation.
Stepping away from politics, we now bring, unfortunately, the heart-wrenching story of an afflicted teenager. Yes, although it does seem like we had our share of bad news for the day, and would prefer that we go on to some happier news, it really is crucial that we provide you the downsides of the world we live in, because that is the only way we can truly be disillusioned to our true circumstances. Anyways, 13-year-old Jahai McMath of Oakland, California, was declared brain dead by the Children's Hospital in Oakland on December the 12th, a diagnosis that makes the patient legally dead, although the heart, which has its own pacemaker, continues to beat. Clinging to the last bit of hope, Jahai's parents have been urging the hospital to keep her on life support. However, they have been defeated by the hospital in court, and most expert opinion points to the fact that Jahai McMath has passed away.
That is most unfortunate indeed.
Yeah.
And sorry, folks, but we have more unsettling and bad news inbound. The weeks leading up to the Olympics are unusually depressing and very dark, but the days in Sochi certainly aren't getting any brighter as we near the 2014 Winter Olympics there. According to CNN, Russian authorities are currently investigating 6 suspicious deaths and at least 1 car explosion this week, only about 240 kilometers or 150 miles from the site of the next month's Winter Olympics. Many blame Chechen separatists for these attacks, and as a response, Putin is desperately trying to salvage the entire project by increasing publicity like that ski trip he took last week and hiking up security.
A quick flashback to the year of 2014, which ended with a high note for U.S. employment. The job surveys for December 2013 indicated that 238,000 more jobs have been made, according to the ADP National Employment Report. The Bureau of Labor Statistics also stated in the survey that they had added 203,000 jobs. The unemployment rate dropped to 7%, marking the lowest percentage in 5 years.
Woo!
Carlos Rodriguez, president and CEO of ADP, stated that this encouraging news hopefully bodes well for 2014 as we head further into this year.
And hopefully that optimism continues and the
Yes.
economy improves.
Of course.
And now it's my favorite time of the week. Time for some science news.
Yeah!
Yeah. Okay, that's enough. On Friday, the civilian space agency Virgin Galactic, which, if you recall, is a part of the Virgin Company, whose CEO Richard Branson is considering the acceptance of bitcoins for payment on one of their space planes, had their 3rd rocket-powered flight of their spaceship 2. Now, this launch wasn't just another test launch of the day. For this special flight, according to CEO of Virgin Galactic George Whiteside, was another resounding success in which researchers were able to gather more transonic and supersonic data about flight in those speeds. They did announce that the spaceships will be operational within this year, so this is a big year for whoever has the money and the guts to climb into that capsule and take flight. That is, if the tickets are even available.
Before we end this news, Andy here has suggested that we begin an entirely new corner reserved to close our program for this week, which he'll happily elaborate more on.
Thank you very much. Yes, the corner called This Day in History, which should be quite familiar to you from various magazines and websites and whatnot, is to not only show interesting and fun little facts about what happened on this very day to end the night, but also to increase our exposure to the past. History is regarded as a second-class subject for way too long. But it is critical that we study the past. The very fabric of the society in which we live today is the culmination of the myriad of human interactions throughout the course of our history. Forget the past and we lose the future.
Indeed.
Yeah!
So as we dive into the past for the sake of the future, please leave feedback on the site as to how to improve this corner or the overall news program. For all of you A+ students out there, today was a big day for Old Hickory. In January 11th, 1815, General Andrew Jackson completely annihilated
Yes.
British troops in New Orleans week after the Treaty of Ghent, which ended the war, was signed.
On the year 2000, on this day, 7 fishermen disappeared in the Irish Sea under heavy weather. If you see a random boat floating around near Ireland and Scotland somewhere with a crew with thick beards encrusted with barnacles, I suggested that you report to the Royal Coast Guard. Who knows, maybe Prince William, who is in fact a search and rescue helicopter pilot in the Royal Coast Guard, might pick them up.
Indeed. And finally, today in the year 1569, England had its first state lottery, So if any of you bought lotto tickets today, hopefully this 445th anniversary will have some positive influence. That was BDA Top 10 News of the Week. This is Esther Park.
And I'm Andy Hong. As you can see, our editor's got some pretty fancy special effects going on behind us if he did anything. And just one of the countless improvements we've made since we first launched back in November of 2013. We've come a long way.
Yeah,
so keep watching and supporting, because who knows if this gets big and you can have a chance to say, I was with them from the beginning. We'll see you next week. This is BDA Team over and out.